Good evening. I'd like to open the meeting. Mr. Karati?
Mr. Accomando?
Present.
Mrs. Borelli?
Present.
Mr. Cipollone? Mr. Quinn?
Present.
Mrs. Robinson?
Here.
Ms. Sanchez? Mr. White?
Present.
Mr. Winnie?
Here.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
I'd like to pledge for the Pledge of Allegiance, but a moment of silence afterwards, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. I'd like to open the meeting to the public for agenda items only. Okay. I'd like to close the meeting to the public. Oh, can I get a motion?
Second.
Okay, I'd like to close the meeting. What's that?
So moved. Second.
Second? All in favor? What is that, Ray? Brent? Okay, Mr. Karati, your report.
Thank you, President Accomando. This evening I have the minutes from November's meetings, checks for November, unemployment check, budget transfers, and board secretary and treasurer's reports for the month of October. Like to have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone? Mr. Quinn?
Abstain to all of A, yes to B, C, D, and E.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes, but I'll be abstaining from check number 52843.
Ms. Sanchez? Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes, but I'll be abstaining from check number 52842.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
Yes, but I'll be abstaining from check number 52839.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
That concludes my items.
Okay, do you want to go to student rep? Okay, we'll go right to the student reps. Isabel Apgar, is she here?
Yeah.
Not here?
No, we have a little change here.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yep, no, that's my fault. Krista Soto and also Angela Parisi will be the student reps this evening, giving us a report. Take it away.
Congratulations to Ms. Rippis, middle school, high school English teacher, who was recognized by the New Jersey Department of Education as an exemplary secondary educator. She was nominated by the leadership team last spring based on the following criteria. Provides a model of excellence for the profession, her contributions to education that are largely unheralded, yet worthy of the spotlight. Ms. Rippis is engaging and inspiring presence that moves and impacts students, colleagues, and the community. She frequently takes on a leadership role to improve the school. The National Science Honor Society, led by Ms. Alpert, collected more than 30 donations at its recent blood drive. Spirit Week will be held December 18th through 22nd, culminating with the Winter Sports Pep Rally next Friday. Each day will be a special dress-down day to encourage unity. The high school classes will also decorate a designated space in the school. Please join us for the holiday concerts. The middle school choir and band will perform tomorrow, starting at 7:30 p.m. The high school concert will take place next Thursday, December 21st, starting at 7:30. Good luck to all of our winter sports teams as they prepare for opening day.
At Franklin School, Otto the Auto visited our kindergarten and first grade students to talk about street safety. A representative from Garfield PD Bike Squad came to speak with our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders on bicycle safety. An important takeaway was that all of our students who have cell phones protected with a case. Why do we do the same for our heads? Always wear a helmet. Hulu Expeditions, Argumented, Reality, visit Franklin School. Our staff was trained in the morning and chose topics that related to their curriculum and/or interest of their students. Our students experienced walking through the solar system, viewed landforms and forces of the nature, the phases of the moon, the ocean floor, World War I artifacts, Da Vinci's inventions, and dinosaurs. Being in the same room as kindergarten students when they viewed dinosaurs is priceless. Photos can be viewed on Franklin School's homepage.
First Smith Elementary School. At Smith School, the end of November was packed with Thanksgiving holiday activities. The entire school worked together to write thank you notes to troops. The sixth graders joined the kindergartners to make butter, and Miss Terrila and Miss Santiago's classes had their very own joint Thanksgiving feast. In addition, we focused our efforts on raising money for others during this season of gratitude and thankfulness. The students and staff joined together to raise money for the victims of Hurricane Maria.
Good. Okay. Thank you, ladies, for that information. Before I get started, I would just like to, once again, we suffered a terrible loss last week, but from that, I just wanted to acknowledge the good work from our administrators, specifically our guidance team as well, who had, along with the guidance team, we had TLC was here, and another organization, CP, was here to help our staff and our students. So I want to thank Ms. Madison and the guidance department for making that happen. In fact, they were even here this week, reaching out to students and still working with staff. So difficult times, and we had to do what we had to do, and I'm glad that those people were all here and supported us. And as I did the other night, I thank the community also, and I'll do it again, for coming to the vigil last week. That was very, very important, and I'm proud of everybody, proud of the town, our neighbors, friends, and everybody in the school system. So thanks again. Moving on here, I want to go to my report. I promised you on Monday that on Wednesday I would get to Goal 2. So I'm going to get to Goal 2 and where we are with the action plans. So Goal 2 is improve student achievement K-12, language arts, and STEM is measured by summative and formative assessments. I'm happy to report that currently in the area of Readers and Writers Workshop, which is one of the goals here, number 1, under number 2, so 2-1, is basically programs that are being held with our administrators and our staff by Shelley Klein, who is doing a wonderful job working with everybody. Some of the things that have happened is a lot of discussion going on with many mini lessons going on for structure, overview of the work that are going on in the grades across the district, and many other components of this. During, let's see, from September, I could actually give you the dates because I have them. But we started this right from the beginning of the school year. So we started on the 5th of September, and then again on the 20th, the 3rd of October, 27th of October, 3rd of November, 7th, and the 30th of November. And I think we were up until yesterday and the day before. So work has been done in all the grade levels. This is an ongoing process. As I told some of the staff that I met with, this is not something that we're just doing for this year. It's going to be a continuation. The Board of Education has been very supportive in making this program work. Prior to us working with this group this current year, we've had teachers that were involved in the Teachers College, which is part of Columbia University, working with the writing component and the reading component of this program. So I'm happy about that growth that's taking place, and you can see that it's happening. The other pieces that we talked about in one of the goals is the Conquer Math in the elementary schools. And there too, the board was very nice, kind of almost at the last minute, I believe it was in August or September, to support us in having our students, or not our students, our faculty, go for training with Conquer Math. They go to Fairfield. We have a number of staff members that have already gone through the process, and we will continue to do so. Again, this is another one of the ongoing PDs that we've embedded into our school program. Makerspace is the third one. All buildings do have Makerspace available for our students. And what happens there is there are teachers that work with them, the media specialist works with them, our tag teacher works with students, and creating and taking on different challenges to help them become more STEM oriented, and we're happy for that. And the next piece going on here is Max Scala, which is really just getting off the ground at this point. I think there's been one video conference with teachers. We're hoping that we can get that into the classrooms over the next few weeks. A component of that is that and again, this is specifically for kindergarten and first grade. So one of the pieces that's we need for this, and it is happening, I'm happy to say, between grant money coming from our SBEF and from other areas, you'll see embedded in here the program, not the program, the agenda, is that we have received some funds plus our own funds, and that the kindergarten and first grade students will be having tablets or iPads to use. And we have decided, I believe, at this point, that we know that they can't sign in. It's difficult for them to sign in. We would probably waste 40 minutes trying to get them to put in their first name. But with that being said, what we've decided to do is that we're going to use another method. I think it's kiosk host or something like that. So once they receive the tablets, all they have to do really is go to the apps that are required for them to use, and we'll teach them which apps they're supposed to go to. And this program will also be embedded within the system, again, kindergarten, first grade. And the STEM Academy is obviously moving on. Mr. Lawler has been to 2 or 3 meetings to explain the different programs. We went over the new course offerings last year, took place, and we did review them again in September. So that program is moving along. So the important thing here is that I want you to know that, we go through the goals that we created in August, but that the action plans are taking place. It's not something that we drew up and put in a drawer and hope that it works, but it is something that I'm dealing with. All of our administrators are working on, and I'm happy to make this report. So again, if there's any concerns, even from staff members, please do not hesitate to email me, stop by, call, whatever you need to do if you have any questions. The whole idea of this is to have successful programs for all of our students. That's the bottom line. And continuing on there too is, in fact, I'm going to stop talking because we do have, tonight we're fortunate to have with us representation, our new principal, Deborah Wonder, first year in the district, coming over from Smith School, who will do a presentation. As you know, the last few months, every month we're bringing a different principal in or administrator and some staff members as well, and eventually we'll be seeing some students too. But tonight's presentation will be brought to you by Ms. Wonder, again, based on Smith School's actions and programs. Okay, come on up. Yeah, okay.
Good. Good evening. Just thank you for the opportunity to come and meet everyone this evening and speak to you on behalf of the Helen I. Smith School. I see many familiar faces, but of course I don't know everyone. My name is Deborah Wonder. I am the new principal at Smith School, and I have with me my school counselor, Mrs. Caitlin Riley, who's here to help me to talk about some things we've been focusing on in our building. First off, thank you, Mr. Rashika, Board of Education members, and the community for letting us come here. It's an honor to share some of the great things that are happening in our building, and we'd like to just highlight a couple of the things this evening for you. So one of the things that we're focusing on this year, obviously stepping into a new building, first and foremost, my priorities are to get to know the students, the staff, and the community. Of course, there are always things that you're focusing on with academics, and that goes without question, and there are many things we're talking about there, which Mr. Rashika just highlighted a couple of those pieces and the goals. I will speak a little bit to it, but tonight we're really focusing on the climate and the school culture, which has been a major focus for us. As I got acclimated this past summer in July, I had the opportunity to spend some time with Mrs. Riley, and we sat and discussed what was going on at Smith, the different transitions, and all the things that we wanted to accomplish this year. one of the things that I shared with her is that for me, the homeschool connection and creating a culture of trust was first and foremost. As we are aware, my role has had a couple different people sitting in it at Smith School, so for me, a priority is to create that environment where there is a culture and a community, where there's a constant communication, and we build that trust. That is something that takes some time, and we wanted to work together on that. So push forward, we look at a couple different things. So this looks like creating a warm, welcoming, nurturing school, working on culture, like I said, the homeschool connection, and creating that trust. And that takes time, and there are a lot of activities we're doing to address those pieces. As a staff, on top of all the different pieces, we're also doing a lot of team building. So one of the things we focused on in the beginning of the year is working as a group to constantly get to know each other and focus on different pieces. So they were actually tasked with, at some of our faculty meetings, working with colleagues they don't regularly work with and talk about what is Smith to you? What is your identity? What do we want to be known for as a school? What should be our motto? What are our priorities? And that led into a lot of really great conversations, and it just starts to get us coming together as a school community, as the educators in the building. We also have focused on a lot of professional development, which was highlighted, the literacy work we're doing with the units of studies, our new science curriculum, Conquer Math. I've had the opportunity to go to 2 days of administrator workshops to support Conquer Math, and I actually was able to sit and meet with the woman, Nancy Schultz, who runs it, and talk about the best ways to support the staff as they focus on the implementation and continue that from my end as an administrator. So those are some of the curriculum initiatives and staff development pieces. Going forward, over the summer when Mrs. Riley and I spoke, and I'll let her speak a little bit to this, we sat down and really talked about what did we want to accomplish. And one of the things that was important to us, like I said, is that whole idea of creating a school community, but also focusing on the social emotional component. And that is entirely interwoven with the academic success of our students, and there's a lot of research that speaks to that. The important thing that we felt is that needs to be a strong focus on their emotional and social health, because that really makes an impact on their academic performance. And if a child does not feel safe, supported, nurtured, does not feel known in the building, they're not going to come there and be able to receive all those academic pieces that we are doing with them. So that was a priority for me. Ms. Riley, why don't you touch that a little bit on that?
I think that just in my own professional experience, that the happier students are coming to school, the more supported they feel being there, the more motivated they are to do well academically as well. And we're going to highlight some of the things that we've already seen this year with making the social emotional approach one of our top priorities.
There are a ton of studies that we could quote, but one that I found that was interesting, and it's not one that I quoted up here, but there's a study that shows that students who receive a comprehensive social and emotional learning program and have those supports have actually shown a documented improvement in achievement tests by 11 percentage points. So while we are talking a lot about the social emotional component, I want you to understand that it's just as important as the academic piece for us. So it is connected, and that's something that we're prioritizing. It also talks to the school's culture and the climate and all those pieces that come together that are predictors of children's success. There's actually a Harvard Business Review information that states that they named empathy and the social emotional pieces are one of the essential ingredients for leadership and excellence. So that's something that we want to always be working on, not just the academics, but also the empathy and all these different pieces that come together in our students' lives. So we sat and had a lot of conversations this summer, and we wanted to create a focus that would really transcend all areas and work with staff to staff, staff to parent, student to student, and not just be a singular focus in one area. So we had a bunch of conversations, and from that,
we've decided this year to start a kindness initiative at Smith School. And we have taken the trimesters and we've set goals for each trimester as far as this initiative is concerned. And I just want to take a few minutes tonight to update you on what we've been able to do so far at Smith School. One of our goals is about building community, and that extends beyond just the students in kindergarten or the students in 4th grade. We want that entire building to feel like a community, for kindergartners to recognize 6th graders, for 4th graders to go into the 3rd grade rooms and cultivate those relationships as well. So while, yes, we want every grade to feel as if they are one as well, we really wanted to extend that from kindergarten all the way through 6th grade. So we decided to take a look at kindness, again, as Mrs. Wonder said, because it really transcends all of the relationships that in our community. So one of the things that we did is we started doing monthly school assemblies where we're gathering all the grades together to help foster that bigger community. We take a few minutes and we celebrate the things that we've accomplished as a building. And we spend a lot of time establishing and brainstorming and working towards common causes and goals. Just a quick example of one of the things that we did at our first assembly is that we had the students watch the video of the movie Enemy Pie, and then we had students break off into, I want to say smaller groups, but there were still a lot of students in the rooms, and they created recipes for a good friendship. And we posted those around the building as daily reminders of choices that they can be making to help cultivate kindness. To kind of extend on the school-wide assemblies that we've been doing, we've decided to start incorporating cross-grade activities, again, to really support that notion of community throughout our building. So what we've gone ahead and done is we've paired homerooms. So 6th grade homerooms are paired up with kindergarten homerooms, 5th grade are with 1st grade homerooms, and so on and so forth. And we have established those connections starting in September, and each month when we get together to do our school assembly and then break off into the cross-grade activities, it's been really pretty incredible to see that these relationships are forming. Between the 6th graders, we have a lot of kindergartners who are now walking around the building looking for their 6th grade friends. And even further with that, we've kept those homeroom pairings the same to help establish long-term relationships and also to help develop the leadership skills of our upperclassmen. One of the things that we did most recently was we participated in the national movement of Nash FM's 100,000 Thank You for the Troops. The kids had so much fun with it. But beyond that, too, it was really exciting because we explained to the students that we were participating in something that they could hear about on the radio. And I actually had numerous teachers come and tell me that they overheard the Nash FM DJs when they said that they reached the 100,000 thank you. So I think that was really, it reinforced that we're a part of something much bigger, and as a community, we can really have an impact. To continue to recognize students, and especially the students who are going above and beyond to help us create this positive and kind culture, we've started a program called Smith Spotlight, where each month we have students who are nominated to be recognized for going above and beyond in demonstrating kindness. Obviously, that is just one student per homeroom a month, but we have so many students who are going above and beyond each day. So we've also started a Caught Being Kind program where any staff member, any adult in the building sees a student doing something kind, they submit a slip to me, and each day over the morning announcements, we've been doing kindness shout-outs. Something I think really special about that is, one, the students are thrilled when they hear their names over the loudspeaker, but we've actually had other students now come and seek either me or Mrs. Wonder out, acknowledging their peers and saying, I saw my classmate doing something really kind. Do you think they can get a kindness shout out tomorrow? Which is really rewarding. And I think that is evidence in itself that this is working for our building. So we have that, and then also in January, one of the things that we're going to be adding is earlier in the year when we celebrated Week of Respect, I spent some time with the 6th graders, and we use the Kid President videos. I don't know if anyone is familiar with them, but he does a pep talk to the world. And I spent a lot of time with our 6th graders, kind of talking to them about how they're the leaders of our building, and that they're helping us set the tone. And they each had the opportunity to write their own pep talk for Smith School. So maybe what they had known about being a Smith student when they were in 3rd grade, or any advice or guidance that they would like to provide other Smith students. And starting in January, we're going to be taking those pep talks and reading them over the loudspeaker for the morning announcements. Most recently, we had the school participate in a door decorating contest. We discussed it at one of our assemblies. It was really incredible. I don't know if anyone's been in Smith School recently, but it really gives a vibrance to the building. All of the doors are decorated, bright colors, and just really spreading a lot of positivity. We had every single door is decorated. We had homerooms, we had resource rooms, specials teachers participated, related services participated, and you walk through our building and it really does just demonstrate what kindness means to each and every single one of our students.
One of the really great things is when we did this month's assembly, actually each class had picked 1 or 2 students to stand up and discuss what their door was about and how they came up with their kindness decorations. And we had students in kindergarten, 2 from each class, come up and start the event, the assembly, introduce themselves, and tell the whole school what they did and why their door was representing kindness. And to see these little students and the entire room quietly listening and then giving them a round of applause all the way up through our students in all our different spaces, it was a really great moment as a community and reinforced public speaking and all those other pieces that are part of what we're focusing on. So it was a great success, and there were a couple nervous students, but it was wonderful to see them all get up and take part in this. So going forward, there's a ton of things we can do, and one of the things we're doing is also incorporating the school safety team in these ideas. One of our future endeavors is looking at something which we're calling I Love Smith School Because. We're going to have a little whiteboard, and we're going to every day grab different students and have them kind of fill in what they love about Smith School, take a picture, and have that lining the hallways of all the different things that kids love about Smith School. We've also incorporated this into the lunchroom, and I know that might sound a little strange, but we know lunchrooms sometimes are not the kindest of places. So we're starting to see how that actually carries over into these other spaces like recess and the lunchroom. We have 6th graders on rainy days asking to go in and help in the kindergarten rooms once they finish their lunch, to go help out in those spaces with their friends that are there and work in those rooms. Those are relationships that have been created and reinforced in these activities. We actually had our 4th through 6th graders approach Mrs. Riley and myself about things that they were concerned about in the lunchroom, and they met with us and shared what was working, what wasn't, and we've actually revamped the program in our lunchroom. For 4th through 6th grade, they have a new traffic pattern, as we call it, but it allows for students to have more recess time and be seated less often and not be getting in trouble for being too loud in their seats when they're just sitting waiting to do something. And I think that the children are feeling heard. The feedback is that they have a voice, that they know they can come forward and share some concerns. One of the grade levels came to us about how they felt like they were getting in trouble a lot more than they should in the lunchroom, and they acknowledged that they're not always making the best choices were who they were sitting with. So we actually met with the entire grade level and said they could put down 3 to 4 names of people they would want to sit with, who would be good people to sit with. And we took a weekend and a couple extra days, and they were guaranteed to sit with at least one friend in the lunchroom. And they've restructured their tables, and it's a completely different lunchroom in that space. It's not perfect, but it's a much different space, and they know that they have a say in their lunchroom and in their day. And ideally, we're working towards, student choice to sit where they want. We're not there yet, but that's the goal. In conclusion, what we'd like to just show you is, let's see if this will work, a quick little video of a couple experts who kind of talk about the importance of empathy and kindness in education, just to kind of summarize what we're saying here.
students who were exposed to social and emotional learning programs not only had improved social and emotional learning skills, decreased behavior problems, but they also had an 11 percentile point gain in academic achievement.
So much empirical research has shown that we can create even safer, more supportive, engaging, and flourishing schools. And when we do that, academic achievement increases, many fewer students drop out of high school, and we not only see less mean, cruel, and bullying behaviors, but we see just people being kinder.
When teachers say, well, and I get this question quite often, how can I do this on top of everything else that I'm asked to do? My answer is always, it isn't on top of everything else, it's underneath everything else. The time you spend on caring and kindness and decency and how we treat one another is so fundamental that everything else goes better as a result of it.
Good teachers, I think, either intuitively or learn their way around both the cognitive material that they're working with, but also the emotional terrain of kids in their lives.
What I think of as the empathy challenge is expanding kids' circle of concern, having them be empathic for people that aren't in their immediate friend circle.
The preliminary evidence is very interesting. It does suggest that kindness and empathy are skills, much like learning your times tables.
There is a growing body of knowledge and interest on the part of schools and educators who are recognizing that in order for academic performance to be achieved, the highest levels of academic performance to be achieved, that a positive school climate and culture is necessary.
Share what we're doing and kind of a little bit of the background on why we feel it's so important, and thank you for letting us share our exciting news this week.
I was thinking the same thing. It's so funny.
We're on an agenda now, right?
Okay.
Agenda now?
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Wonder. Thank you, Ms. Riley. I didn't realize you were going to be part of the presentation, but we enjoyed that. This is actually the kind of direction when we started off the school year that I was looking for, is just to build environments where students feel comfortable, safe, and therefore not coming to school with other things on their minds. Obviously, they come to school with things that happen at home, but certainly what we want them to do really is feel comfortable in the building so that they can concentrate on the work they need to do, and again, build that respect for each other. So thank you. I really appreciate that. We'll continue with the agenda at this point. Oh, yeah. One of those now is, do you want to get it and do it? Yeah. Okay, so before we move into the agenda, we wanted to thank some people that were really kind enough to do work for us over at Franklin School. Brian Anthony's landscaping company took the time to work on Karen's courtyard. And if any of you have been there, I hope you have been. It's just an outstanding place in memory of our former nurse, Karen. who passed last year, and we certainly want to thank them for all their hard work, especially Ms. Accomando. Would you like to say something in regards to
the group?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had John Toohey and Eric Nasello, who are the owners, donated a lot of time and a lot of material, along with James Ciliento from Stonebrook. So on behalf of the board and the community, thank you so much. It looks amazing.
Yeah, we even have pictures that, if you haven't seen it yet, you can look on the district website, and it's also, I believe, on Franklin's website as well. But the best thing is if you can take a ride over. In the back of the school, there's a really, just the transition from what it was to what it is now is just beautiful. Thank you. Mr. Sella will give this to you. Okay, thank you so much.
We could, and John's, and I'll.
Have a few words from them if it's okay.
Absolutely. Here, right. You don't want to give this to me.
I guess I'll hold it. Gotta fix that. There's something in the budget. Yeah, do I really need that? It's true. Good point, Sylvia. So on behalf of Brian Anthony Landscaping and the Toohey and Nasello families, I would like to thank the board and the administration for the recognition of appreciation. However, both John, Joe, and Eric would have had it no other way. You see, Karen touched all of our lives as well. John Joe's wife, Lorraine, worked with Karen as a substitute nurse, and Eric, along with his brother and sister, grew up with Mrs. Kenny as their Franklin School nurse. She always knew just how to comfort and care for them when they were hurt or not feeling well until their mom was able to get there. She brightened and touched the hearts of everyone she met and came in contact with, and will be sorely missed. John, Joe, and Eric asked that I wanted to also would thank the committee for all that they did and their wonderful cooperation during the project to them, as well as the board and administration for supporting the tribute garden to a Franklin School guardian angel, Miss Karen Kenny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sella.
Thank you.
Also, there's also a couple of employees that did a great job. Joe, yeah, I can't remember all the names, but they did a great job. Thank you again.
Okay. All right. So moving on, I'd like to move to letter A in the agenda, student services. Everybody please look at number 1, outside service providers.
Get a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez? Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zottarelli? Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
Letter B, curriculum, instruction, technology, and program. Approve, actually, we can go through numbers 1, 2, and 3. That will be field trips, disposal of some equipment. And that's it for now. Just take a look at that.
Any discussion? Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zottarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
And number 4 is one of the pieces that I mentioned earlier in regards to the programs we're using, the tablets for the kindergarten and first grade students. We are accepting a donation in the amount of $4,760 to go to Helen Smith School to purchase tablets for that Max Scala program. Again, and this is from Sealed Air Corporation.
And if I could, I'd just like to thank Mr. Matthew Novotny for getting the ball rolling on this. It's well appreciated.
Okay. If there are any questions on number 4?
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zottarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
On letter C, business and board, you can look at numbers 1 through 5. Number 1, actually, and you'll see in some of those professional development classes, something in relation to what was just presented to us from Ms. Wonder and Ms. Riley, in those areas of social and emotional learning, which is all embedded and part of the programs that were just presented, so.
Any discussion? Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
And last of this section is 6, 7, and 8.
Any discussion? Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
Okay. Letter D, no new policy information this month. So we're going to letter E, negotiations, 2 different units, 1 and 2.
Into discussion?
Yeah.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
And under letter F, personnel, please take a look at numbers 1 through 15.
Any discussion? Motion.
Second.
Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes.
Continuing on to numbers 16 and 17.
Second. Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
No.
Mr. Cipollone?
No.
Mr. Quinn?
No.
Mrs. Robinson?
No.
Ms. Sanchez?
No.
Mr. White?
No.
Mr. Winnie?
No.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
No.
Mr. Accomando?
No.
And completing this section, numbers 18 to 21.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody wants to go home. Mr. Karati?
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Cipollone?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winnie?
Yes.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomando?
Yes. Okay, there's no committee reports. Any correspondence? Old business?
Through the chair,
Yes.
I would like to formally apologize to you for my lack of faith in you at the beginning of your term as president. You have far exceeded my expectations. You've done a good job for the board. I thank you for your dedication, your time, and all of your hard work on making this a very good year for the board. So thank you very much. I apologize for being wrong.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Is that
No.
old business?
Was all business just on the school board training. So January 3rd is the board reorganization meeting. I'll be swearing in and give the oath of office to the newly elected board members. And then at 7:30, he can't make it any sooner, but 7:30, Matt Lee from New Jersey School Boards will give a ethics training to the Board of Ed. Then we have our January 8th. No, January 3rd is the training. January 8th and 10th is our regular meetings. And then we have superintendent search meetings the rest of the month. So I don't think we should be setting up any more trainings in January. We could maybe look at February. I'll try to get some dates, or even March, depending on how superintendent search goes. We were going to look at changing the January 17th. Right now, we scheduled January 16th and 17th for the first round of interviews, but the 17th is the STEMCon presentation or technology review in the gym. So the board was discussing looking to move the date. So we'll keep the 16th, and don't know if everybody can go, if everyone wants to look at it now. You want to make a date? Yeah. Monday's the 15th. What's that?
Isn't that Elvis's birthday?
So that was Tuesday and Wednesday.
So was the 16th?
Wait, just go over was it January 16th? That's 6? That's what you have there?
Yeah, I don't have the times in front of me.
Okay, well,
We're starting at 6. I think we're in meeting, and interviews will start shortly thereafter.
Okay.
So
Or, we could,
Thursday?
we could actually go to the next, round we had tentatively put in for Monday, the 22nd, that should be. So you can go 16, 22nd is the first round, then we have the... Oh.
So can you do the 18th? What about the 18th?
You can do the 18th, I'm not available the 18th.
Yes.
But that's okay. We just have to find a way to do it.
Should we wait for the new?
We could discuss this again on the 3rd if you want to look at your calendars, and we just have to get the dates back to the consultants so they could inform people. But we'll bring your calendars on the 3rd, and we could pick it out when we're waiting for Matt Lee to arrive.
Okay. And on the, what are we still on, old business? All right. Being that this is my last meeting as the president, I'd like to thank the board for their support. Tony, he was phenomenal. Ray, he's good at what he does. And the community. I look forward to doing it again one day in the future, but I wish everybody the best. And with that, I would like to present Miss Sarah Sanchez with her plaque. Read it, Ray? Ray, can I read it? It says, presented to Sarah Sanchez in grateful recognition of dedicated service as board trustee from 2015 to 2017, presented by the Saddlebrook Board of Education, December 13, 2017.
Through the chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to say that it's been a pleasure working with, Tony and Ray and everybody on the board. It's definitely been a positive experience for me in the last 3 years, and I definitely believe that the district will continue to move in the right direction. Thank you, everyone, and have a happy holiday.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right.
Okay, I'd like to wish everyone a happy holiday, happy New Year, and, new business? New business? My bad. Yeah, we'll put that on the new business. Yeah.
Mike, through the chair,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to reach out, and I'm actively involved in the Saddlebrook Community Partnership Program, and in collaboration with them and with the Saddlebrook Teachers and Education Association, I just wanted to say thank you. They sponsored a dress down day. I'm also the associate director for the Saddlebrook Food Pantry. I came to the school, I guess it was yesterday, and accepted a donation on behalf of the food pantry, which will go to the 48 to 60 families that I'll be feeding probably next weekend. So number one, I wanted to thank you for that. I also wanted to thank the Saddlebrook Middle School teachers. I also got a phone call, and when somebody comes in and registers at the food pantry, one of the questions we ask is if they have children, what are the ages, boy or girl, and they reached out to me, and they also sponsored, the middle school teachers did a toy drive. I filled up the back of a truck yesterday with what I saw to be Legos and Barbie dolls and footballs and all kinds of pretty cool things. So I just wanted to say thank you. Those families, you have no idea how much they will really appreciate the donation of the food, the donation of the toys. So on behalf of the food pantry, as well as the community partnership program, I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Twinney. Anybody else?
I just want to mention, first of all, and I'm not being funny, but it will be funny. What we have here is the auditorium that was done just over a year ago, and we're trying to do some finishing touches. I want to thank Mr. Quinn, who's actually devoted many hours of work with the lighting system. He seems to have some experience in that area, but he does spend a number of hours here working with the people who designed and also with our teachers who use the auditorium. As you know, we have a concert tomorrow night, and that's important that we have that. You know, certainly last year, we did have the new room, the lighting wasn't ready, and certain things just didn't show up the way we'd like them to show up, so greatly appreciate that. And also, as far as the finishing touches, we did add, and I'd just like to get some feedback, and I'm, again, trying to be funny, we did pick out 2 clocks for the auditorium. We did not have a clock here, so we could be here and I could be speaking what was supposed to be 15 minutes and be well into 45. So we have 1 clock up there now, so if you could just let us know if it's something that you think looks good here. We do have a second one, which we might put up depending on what the feelings are on this one. But I just want to say that we continue, you know, we want to make these improvements, and my belief too, as long as we're building the character of our students and the staff members and everybody's working together, the environment certainly has a lot to do with how children feel in school as well. And I think that this is a well-needed piece to support, especially our students in the music programs who are in here most of the time, and again with the spring musicals, but certainly even those who come in to do something for a TV production class that are videotaping something, and I think that that's important. So I just wanted to point that out. And again, thank you, Mr. Quinn, for your help. Okay?
Okay. I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Oh boy, 1 second. Residents are requested to state their names, address, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portions of this meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5-minute durations. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered, and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by the members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments, and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Ms. Ween? Motion? Motion. Ms. Ween?
Jennifer Ween, 400B Saddle River Road. I'm here tonight on behalf of myself, I guess, as a parent of my daughter, but of the Music Association and the Color Guard specifically. I'm not sure if you've been to football games and you noticed, our Color Guard doesn't have uniforms. Hasn't been provided with uniforms for at least the last 12 years that Mr. Ortega has been here. Our children go to parades in mismatched black t-shirts and leggings that we as parents have bought for them. They have accessories when they march on the field that, again, we as their parents have bought for them. They should have marching band uniforms, or Color Guard uniforms to go along with the marching band uniforms. I think it's great that you guys funded another 10 marching band uniforms because we know they're not cheap at all. But I think just like every sport, every cheerleader, our Color Guard also deserves an opportunity to have uniforms so that they can feel part of it. And more importantly, when they go to parades, they're in parades every year in New York City, in Fort Lee, right here in town, that they should have something. We're looking to hopefully do a Disney trip in the next couple of years, but they'll look really bad unless they have something, you know. They're what everybody looks at. They listen to the band and they look at the guard. So I'd like to ask that when you do your new budget, that this is something that you include. We need uniforms for about 20 kids because the program is growing. There's 11 to 15 at any time right now. So I think 20 is a good number, but I really don't think that's something that we as the Music Association should have to fund or really can afford to fund.
Thank you, Ms. Weed.
Thank you. Can I make a comment on that? Yeah, we were not, I have to be honest, not aware. I don't believe that was the case. I sat through one budget cycle coming up to number 2, but I don't recall seeing a request for that. So my suggestion is that perhaps, I don't know who, if maybe the music teachers or whoever, someone look into what the cost of those uniforms would be, and as long as we're looking at something reasonable, I think it is something that we can help out with. You're right, that's one of the most visible parts of our school, and they should look good, and it shouldn't be the responsibility of the parents. So, again, if you could just get a little research, we're just starting the budget building process, so if you can get that done in the next month or so, certainly that would help. Okay, thanks. Yeah,
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Okay, I'd like to close the meeting to the public. Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, where am I at now? Okay, going to recess to close executive session to discuss matters covered by the attorney-client privilege and an HIB appeal per NJSA 10-4-6, Open Public Meetings Act. The subject matter may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action will not be taken when the board reconvenes open session. Motion? Okay, thank you, everybody. Happy holiday, Happy New Year.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a very Happy New Year. They're all that.